So here we are with Andy Scott, a Bloomington resident and owner of Rewild Native Gardens. Hello Andy, it's good to see you again.
Yeah, hey Jack.
Your yard and property look great. Can you give us a little bit of background of how you got into native plants and ecosystem restoration?
Absolutely. My background is in graphic design, but we bought our house here about 10 years ago. And when we bought the house, there was just some kind of not so great lawn and just a really boring, really tired foundation planting around the whole house. So at that time, I was learning a lot about native plants. It was an interest of mine, and I thought I'd kind of challenge myself to see if I could landscape an entire suburban yard with native plants. So we started with the foundation plantings and some shrubs, and then worked our way out. And now we have, I don't know, hundreds of different species of native plants. It's very diverse, lots of different types of milkweed for monarchs. And we just kind of keep adding every year, and it's become a thing. So
now I know you're really busy with your business, working on other people's properties, putting in native lawns, native gardens, meadow lawns. How much time do you spend on yours, and like what is this effort that you need to do if you start with the blank, just turf grass lawn?
Yeah, so the time commitment has changed over the years. On the front end of things, it takes a little bit more time to make sure your plants are thriving and they have enough space to grow. But at this point in the game, now that the plants are kind of filled in and we've got more of a green mulch kind of thing going on, the commitment's monthly, probably an hour or so a month to just go through and kind of quickly pull things out that aren't supposed to be there and make sure everybody's happy. So.
Better than spending 2 hours every 2 weeks mowing it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we don't, we mow if we had a birthday party here this spring, so we did mow the lawn to, to let people kind of move around the space. But typically, other than that, we don't really mow it much, and that's when you do see things like asters and phlox kind of popping up within the grass. So,
what do you consider like a meadow lawn compared to the native plant garden, and where do those meet? And
garden, so these are what I call native designed plant communities. So what I've done is gone through and looked at each kind of space, thought about what kind of plants will do well there, like the right plant for the right space. So making sure that the plants that I pick for those spaces will respond to that amount of light, the amount of water that I can give them or that they get naturally. If there's an opportunity for a rain garden to go in, how we can manage that water. So yeah, so these are more native designed plant communities that are designed for pollinators with host plants like milkweed and golden alexanders, things like that. So right now they're more sort of designed feeling versus a meadow, which is more of a sort of naturalistic, free-flowing, more open sort of idea.
What would you say to people who say, I don't know what's a weed compared to what's a native plant?
I would say do some research. So there's a really great website called MinnesotaWildflowers.info. And they have a really great search feature. You can enter the shape of the leaf and the color of the flower and when it's blooming and where it's growing, that kind of thing. It's one of the best plant identification tools. That's how I learned about a lot of plant identification. There's Wild Ones Twin Cities, that's a really good resource. And they've got people that are more than happy to answer plant questions on their Facebook page. So,
have you found that you've lost or gained usability in doing this and converting turf to native?
Yeah, so I mean, usability, that's a really good thing to think about. So when I work with clients designing gardens, that's always kind of the first thing we talk about is how are you going to be using the space, and what are your expectations for now and for the future. So if you've got kids and you don't have access to a park or something and you want some lawn space, that's totally fine. We just want to make sure that we set that aside and that that's manageable. So, but for us, usability was, again, this is a garden for nature, this is a garden for wildlife, so we wanted to make sure that that was at the forefront. There's so many things to examine and to see growing in here, and there's monarch butterfly caterpillars that you can watch developing and things like that. So I think it's really important that kids get that attachment to nature and have that ability to just go into their front yard and find that. And the thing is too, so if you do install a meadow lawn where you convert most of your lawn to a meadow or naturalistic planting, one thing you can do is just maintain a mowed path through that. So that it can just be as simple as just having a mowed path that moves through the space for your mail carrier to walk through, and it can be very, very simple that way as far as keeping it tidy or keeping it user-friendly. One thing with creating any sort of garden is you want to make sure to consider where you're putting this garden. So observe it, maybe come out at different times of the day, see what's going on with the light, with if there's a rainstorm, come out and see how the water is moving through it. If there's a low area, if it's retaining water, or if it's a high area, if it's draining off quickly. And then you want to go ahead and choose plants that are suited for those conditions. Don't try to force plants into conditions they're not going to want to be in, because they're not going to thrive, and then you're going to get discouraged.
So I see that you have, you know, your fun amenities. You have a patio, you have a sauna. So, you know, you have all these native plant gardens, and what is your goal for your property in terms of being able to use it compared to incorporating the native community?
Yeah, so I mean, it's twofold. It was obviously we wanted to enjoy our property. We wanted to, you know, enjoy things here, enjoy entertaining, and enjoy, you know, hanging out in here. But also I wanted to be able to surround myself with nature too. So and to try to, you know, work some habitat in where I can. So that's really what we tried to do, is create cover for birds with some evergreens and create lots of host plants. But yeah, it was really kind of trying to create a holistic kind of feel, and one that's, you know, people enjoy being in.
Yeah.
Because it's beautiful and natural, and also supportive of a lot of different species. So
yeah.
Yeah. If every property had one little, you know, I don't know, back third or something that was converted to a more naturalistic planting or more wild area, in a place that, you know, had host plants and had cover for birds and had forage for bees, and all those areas, you know, sort of abutted or sort of connected, then you have this wildlife corridor that kind of weaves through a neighborhood, and that could potentially connect parks to parks and natural areas to natural areas. So that's kind of the goal, is if we can get everybody just to dedicate a small portion of their yard. Even if the front yard is, you know, perfectly manicured, if the backyard even has that, that's great.
Not every resident is particularly enthusiastic about that first step, the maintenance, the work to get it started, or some people just like having the professional expertise come in to get to the next level.
Sure.
Do you have any suggestions for how they can find a company to work with, or, you know, some native plant expertise?
Well, they definitely want to work with professionals that are familiar with native plants and familiar with ecosystem gardening and wildlife gardening.
Well, it's been fantastic to walk around your yard, to see, you know, the butterflies and toads and birds and all of the native plants. It's beautiful, and I appreciate you putting this effort in to improving the local ecology of the city of Bloomington.
Definitely. Well, it's something, you know, habitat fragmentation is a big issue we're facing right now, and as more land gets taken away from natural areas and as more land is developed, it's really important that we kind of try to equalize that a little bit in our residential landscape. So, if there's nothing else I get through to people, it's like, just plant some milkweed in your garden, put a little pollinator garden in, and you know, just do a little bit, you know, and start that way and see how it works. And
every little bit helps.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think we think of urban areas as kind of outside of nature, and that's just not true. Nature is everywhere, and I think for the future we can make urban areas natural hotspots of habitat and wildlife and resilient ecosystems, and Bloomington can be a leader in that, and I appreciate you helping out.
Yep, no problem.